Good evening, everybody. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. Very glad to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show originates from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. And a real quick update on that. I talked to Jason at Bradshaw Bourbon. They have been in the midst of a huge overhaul in their business and everything else. And he promises he's going to get us some stuff. And that's fine. He said, hey, you guys are doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing, and he'll take care of it on his end. And I'm like, that's fine. We're good. All good. But anyway, welcome into everybody. I see Joe's in, Burner, Billy Evans is in. A rare Thursday night off, Billy. Good to have you. What's everybody drinking tonight? Or eating in this case, Ben. Ian, what are you drinking this evening?
Oktoberfest still, because it's still October.
Indeed, it is.
We've got a little side of whiskey too, just for good measure, of course.
Good. Scarves, yes. What do you got?
Jubal.
Well, Ben's already into his Christmas beer.
It's winter beer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Is Scarpino, what are you drinking? Now he's
Scarpino's on mute.
I haven't drank anything Velvet? Tonight. No, it's Larceny. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon.
Yeah.
Nice. I like Larceny.
It caught my eye, and I don't know if larcenist is the right word, but I've stolen a few hearts in my life. So
I actually bought that in Greensburg the last time I was
Greensburg,
in West
PA.
Or one of the last couple of times I was in PA. Yeah, nice. We were out there. We went out to St. Vincent to do the Mr. Rogers thing, the tour and all that one day. And on the way back, we went to Sunset Cafe. And as long as we passed the liquor store anyway, we figured, we probably should just stop here and just get some food.
Absolutely. I mean,
you don't got to tell me.
It'd be criminal
on our way back to Mountain Lebanon. So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to start things off with something a little unusual tonight. I mean, unusual for us. Maybe is anything unusual for us? I don't know. No. Ian, wrong answers only. Why was Mike Tomlin in a pissy mood this week during the press conference?
So wait, you want the wrong answer or you want the right?
No, I
answer?
want the wrong answer first. Why was he in such a pissy mood?
Because he saw his sons playing Madden and realized that the playbook on there was more complicated than what Matt Canada was running.
Outstanding. Scarpino, wrong answers only. Why was Mike Tomlin in such a feisty mood this week?
He finally looked in the mirror and realized that he won a Super Bowl with Bill Cowher's players.
Oh, God. Here we go.
That's just mean.
Ben Anderson, wrong answers only. Why was Mike Tomlin just so feisty this week?
Jerry Dulac parked in his parking space. He was tired of answering Jerry's fucking questions over and over again.
Well, yeah, go ahead and if you saw Mike Tomlin's comments this week during the weekly presser course. Last week he didn't have one with the bye week.
Usually he's pretty happy coming out of the bye because
he's actually peppy. He's like, hey, let's get back at it, and I would never say that he's happy or overjoyed, but he's definitely got a pep in his step. But this week he was salty. And I think Ben as you put food to mouth there. I'm sorry, I called on you at the absolute wrong time there.
We're good.
Yeah, is he just tired of the same things over and over and over and over and over? Is maybe that what it is?
I'm sure that's what it is, but who cares? I mean, Mike is being asked repetitive questions because the same issues come up over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Well, if the issues are repetitive, the questions will be repetitive. And he knows this. He's been doing this for 15 years. 15? 15? 17th season. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this for a long time. He knows the nature of that game and what's going to happen. And him shaking his head and going, guys, we talked about this before. As though everyone should just trust the process and let him do his work, which from his standpoint, that's what he's doing. He's trusting the process and working it through. But he's going to have to do, in my opinion, he should do a little more to build some buy-in from the fans rather than just getting annoyed with the press.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Scarps, what does that look like? Mike Tomlin buying in?
I just want to say this, and I felt this way. I felt this way when I worked there, is that Mike Tomlin is a very smart guy, and I got to see a side of him that fans don't get to see. What he projects to the media is not who he really is, and he's very smart and he's very calculated with his responses. But I always felt that he had so much more to offer the media when I worked there, and sometimes you would get him. Sometimes you would get him in a good mood and he would elaborate. But most of the time, as we saw this week, he's short, but he was extra pissy this week.
He was.
And if you, even when I worked there, I always felt that he should have talked more during the week. And I haven't done the competitive analysis about other teams, but he's one of those head coaches that rarely talks during the week. He talks once a week before the game, and then he talks after the game. So for the fans that were saying on Twitter this week or on X or whatever it is, we're saying oh, these questions are stupid or whatever. This is only the media has a very limited window to talk to Mike Tomlin. So I always wished he would be more open about things. And you know what? At the end of the day, he gets paid handsomely to do his job. And part of that job is to talk to the media. And you know what? I'd be pissed off too if I haven't won a playoff game in 7 years now and I had to answer the same questions. But you know what? Kevin Colbert isn't there anymore, right?
Right.
Dan Rooney passed away many years ago. Ben Roethlisberger is no longer there. Mike Tomlin has a chance to really put his own stamp on things. I wish he would embrace it and be more open. And I do think he would get even more of a pass than he already does. And he shouldn't have that much of a pass, but hey, he's never had a losing season.
Ian, do you think that maybe that's some of the, I mean, look, he's an NFL head coach. There's pressure. There's always pressure. But I think Ryan brings up an interesting point. Does he feel maybe a little extra pressure to put his own stamp on things?
I don't know if he feels I think he's had the opportunity to put his stamp on things. I mean, he hired the offensive coordinator who may or may not have been the head coach of the school where his son got a scholarship to. And
he was the OC there.
No, he was the head coach.
No, he was the head coach.
Was he the head coach?
Yeah, he took over after the guy left when the young man died, the offensive tackle. And the coach was run out and Canada took over.
Yeah. And then he
that
hired.
Must have been a stellar offense.
Yeah. Well, we love that team because we drafted Anthony McFarland from it. And then there's somebody else we picked from that terrible Maryland team too. It wasn't Sean Davis. It was after Sean Davis. We picked two guys from that terrible Maryland team.
Yeah.
It was McFarland was one, but I don't remember who the other one was. At any rate, maybe it was Dave. I don't know. At any rate. And then he hired a good buddy of his, Terrell Austin, to coach the defense. So
I'm sorry.
I think he's had the opportunity to put his stamp on things, if you
will. The thing that's funny about
hold on, let me finish my point here.
All right.
But what I'm saying is the guys he's hired, their units aren't performing, so he's getting asked the same questions about the underperformance of their units, and I think he kind of sees the writing on the wall that he's got to work with the guys he has because they can't fire them mid-season, which I mean they could, but they won't. Let me rephrase that. They won't fire them mid-season. So he's got to work with them, but he knows they're probably short tenured because they're not performing very well. So he doesn't want to tie his boat to them either, because he doesn't want to go down with their ship either.
Well, it's kind of like,
okay, Ben, you can talk.
Antoine Brooks Jr. Sorry.
Oh, that's who it was. Nice call.
Damn. Antoine Brooks Jr. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Terrell Austin.
Go ahead, Ben.
When he was added as a senior defensive coach, defensive backs, the DBs did start communicating better. So we were optimistic. They also shifted Butts back to being DC and outside linebackers coach when they fired Joey. Right. And things improved there too. So there was reason for optimism, I thought at the time. Obviously this defense, oh God, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But at the time, all of us too, we were like, yeah, there's reason for optimism here. Yeah, they still have some problems. They still have problems, but as far as we were concerned, those problems were personnel based. Now we have some holes personnel wise, and we also have some issues schematically that even in the defensive backfield that you're like, what the fuck are you calling? Why are you calling this?
What when you say that, Ben, what are you talking about specifically? As an
schematically?
Example? Yeah, when you say what the fuck are you calling? What specifically are you thinking of in that?
Specifically, this dude has corners that are good in man situations, and he's running a fuck ton of zone or off man. He runs a lot of off man with a single high safety. Then he runs 3 safety sets with 2 guys in the box, one of which can't cover it all. He's basically a third linebacker. It's like, what are you doing? And he took Minkah Fitzpatrick out of a role where he was an elite player. He was an elite free safety because he was always around the ball, which is why there were always opportunities for him. If there was a deflected pass, Minkah was the guy who was jumping on it. That's how he got so many turnovers.
Yep.
Guys like that just don't grow on trees. Guys like that don't come around all the time, and you don't take them out of a position where they're an elite player. You leave them there. They're missing an elite presence in the defensive backfield because of that.
There's no question that the lack of run defense has forced him to kind of come up, as we saw a couple of years ago when he led the team in tackles. Is that part of it too?
Well, he led the team in tackles because the linebackers weren't making any tackles. I mean, let's just call it what it was. That was a personnel issue. And Minkah was pissed about it too.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And sorry, boys, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Scarps.
I'm not going to say I don't know all the X's and O's, and I've never claimed to admit that. I want to say though that Minkah Fitzpatrick is not able to do what he has done best. And I talked about this earlier this week on Twitter, is that Minkah is not able to play the most comfortable position. And I know, Ben, you're right. Terrell Edmonds did not want to come back here. Terrell Edmonds did not want to come back here. And I totally respect that.
He wasn't coming back.
He wasn't coming back. That's
as far as he was concerned, they weren't using him.
And I don't think Cam Sutton wanted to come back either.
And that's yes.
Yeah.
But
I don't know about that, but he wanted to get paid.
But right. Minkah, Minkah, I'm not saying Minkah's having a bad year. I'm not saying he's having a bad year, but Minkah isn't able to do what he does best because he's basically a box safety now. And again, I don't know the insides and outs. I don't know the insides and outs, but I'm saying that there's a reason why he doesn't have any turnovers this year, and there's a reason why he's making more tackles this year. It's because he is not in the best position that he could be. And to me, that's concerning because, again, You got Terrell Austin, but Mike Tomlin was hired not because of his offensive prowess, but because he was a good defensive coach. And I'm not taking this away. He was a defensive backs coach for that Buccaneers team in the early 2000s that won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
He was a defensive coordinator under Brad Childress in Minnesota. And he
Mhm.
was brought here because he was a defensive mind. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This defense has been terrible for years now. 2019 was probably their best defensive year, but they had no offense that year. But they
Mhm.
also still almost made the playoffs.
Right.
Never had a losing season. But like I look at so like when Ben talks about like what the hell are they calling? And I'm just like, yeah, he's right. And you know what? If I'm the Rams, and we'll talk about this, but like if
Yeah.
I'm the Rams on Sunday, I throw the ball 50 times. What do you got to lose? Like you're at I mean like this defense is not good. And if TJ Watt, who popped up on the injury report today with a heel, I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm sure he's going to play because it's
Yeah.
TJ, but
Yeah.
like if they can't get pressure on Stafford, who has zero mobility, it's
Mhm.
gonna be a long day.
Well, and the Rams will be without their top running back. Sounds like Kieran Williams
Top
is
two
not
running
yeah,
backs.
top two.
So which makes you think they're going to throw the ball even more in that
Right.
regard. So
I mean, it's pretty easy to get open versus the Steelers. I'm just being frank,
yeah.
especially in the middle of the field. It just is. It
Yeah.
just is. Like we got a corner that can't cover it at the nickel. We got linebackers that can't cover. You know, even Quan Alexander, he's okay versus running backs.
Mhm.
He's not going to cover a wide receiver or a good wide tight end.
No.
He's not. You know, and the other thing is this, and you know, I hate to give Scarpino props, but I'm going to.
Oh boy.
You know, I was a guy who, when they signed all these guys in the offseason, I was like, you know, Allen Robinson's just a guy. I don't know what everybody's so fucking excited about. He's just a guy at this stage in his career. $5 million for him is too much. They're overpaying. I know they got him for practically nothing when they made the trade, but he's just a guy, and $5 million is way too much if you're paying him $2 million max. And, you know, and everybody, I got roasted on Twitter for that. You know, I got roasted for saying that Holcomb couldn't cover. I got roasted for saying that letting Cam Sutton walk and signing Patrick Peterson was a bad move. People are like, oh, what are you talking about? They saved $4 million and he's better. He's better than Cam Sutton. No, he's not.
No, he's
Cam
not.
Sutton's far superior and 5 years younger. It was a fucking terrible signing.
So
But
what are you
anyway,
giving me props
to
for?
I'm giving you props for the fact that basically what Scarpinos was saying
That's a Pittsburgh thing. Add an S to it, babe.
Yeah. In July is, who the fuck are these guys, and why did their other teams want them?
Well,
Why did they let him walk? Why did they let him walk? And why should we believe that these guys are gonna change the fortunes of this defense or this offense? These are just guys. They're not stars. Now, Sayamalu, who's been a little bit of a disappointment, he's finally
coming around
coming
a little
into his
bit.
own. He's coming into his own. That I thought was a damn good signing. The rest of them, they're just guys.
Well, and Ian, you know the personnel as well as anybody historically. Have the Steelers recently done this way too often, signing these Allen Robinson types and just hoping that they're going to strike gold, you know, maybe one final year with these guys? Because it's starting to feel that way with me. I maybe I'm wrong.
So I think it goes back to Joe Hayden that they found a guy who still had something left in Hayden, and they were like, "Ooh, let's see if we can recapture this with other guys." And they've always done that. I mean, go back to, you know, the Darius Hayward Bays, the Jericho Cotcheries of the world. I mean, heck, even
Cotchery was a nice player. Nice player.
God, was I mad when we didn't sign him.
Even Floel Adams. I mean, he was at the end of his
that was
career.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah.
They signed him on Thursday and he started on Sunday.
D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
That was a good signing too. I agree.
Floel was literally the Justin Pugh. He was literally off the couch.
Yes.
Yeah.
The hotel. So I mean,
what did Scarf say? The biggest human being I've ever seen in my entire life.
the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life, and he had like a monotone voice, and it was like he was intimidating. I'm not gonna lie, but he was also deaf in one ear. Did you know that?
No, which ear?
I don't know which ear it was, but he was deaf in one ear, and I remember this because after the Super Bowl loss in Dallas, where he played forever, there's like some poor intern that worked for the league had to go up to him and ask him to talk at the podium afterwards. And I remember like like this poor kid was like, "Excuse me, Flozel, like can you get?" And Flozel was like, "What?" Like it was like and I was like, "Dude." I was like, he's deaf. He can't hear on that side. And then Flozel ended up talking, but like I just remember like he couldn't hear. So media would go up to him and be like, "Hey Flozel, you got a minute?" And he would literally just keep walking by him. And like the media would be like, Scar, what the fuck? Like what's wrong? I was like, dude, he's deaf. Like that's not the good ear. Like let's be real right now. And then like he'd come back and like you give him a little hand wave, be like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And then like he'd be like, he didn't like talking, but like if you asked him to talk, he would talk. But he was deaf in one ear.
Wasn't there a Seinfeld episode where you had to make sure you were on the right side of the person because they had a hearing deficiency or so? I can't remember.
So at any rate, my broader point
that
they've done this before with guys. And sometimes you strike gold like those guys we talked about, and sometimes you miss. And for a young team, especially a very young offense, I didn't have a problem with them bringing in some veterans. I mean, we talked all offseason about them needing a veteran voice in that receiver room.
We did.
It hasn't really translated on the field for Allen Robinson. He can't get open. He can't block. He can't seem to do anything. And
no, literally nothing. I hope he's offering some leadership. I agree with you. Let's hope so.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. They seem to, churn through these guys and bring them in for a year. And if it works, maybe they keep them around. If it doesn't, then they let them go. Or if your name's Gunnar Olszewski and you have nude pictures on your phone of someone in the Steelers brass, then somehow you get to stick around and, have more.
Canada does too, though.
Well, I swear Gunnar has more fumbles per touch than any player in Steelers history because
is he up to 3 now?
I think so.
3 and maybe like 5 or 6 touches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just atrocious.
He's Dante Moncrief 2.0.
Oh God.
There's another one.
Oh, there's another one. Yeah.
Remember how excited people were about that signing too? It's like there's this core group of people that, hey, everybody who's watching right now or listening, there's a core group of people that we refer to as the Sunshine Crew. No matter what the Steelers do, they're sunshiny about it. It's fluffy unicorns and rainbows and sunshine and lollipops and candy. No matter what the Steelers do, they love it. And guess what? That's just not fucking objective. It's just you need to be just a touch more objective when you're doing your analysis.
But
because
Ben,
what happens is
artist is the modern day King
Midas.
Everything he touches turns to gold.
The point being, the reason that people are so pissed off every fucking year when these players don't live up to their expectations is they have unrealistic expectations to begin with. Yeah. There's a reason these players are let to leave their other team. There's a reason the Steelers can sign them on the cheap. It ain't about the coaching. It's about the fact that these are not good players anymore. They're old or they're just not good. Like Gunnar.
Right.
Gunnar sucks. Right. I don't know why. And that is our friend Danny Smith, who keeps that motherfucker around. I cannot stand Gunnar Olszewski. I like Danny Smith. He's entertaining as hell, and he knows a fuck ton about football.
Danny Smith right now is the MVP. Him and Chris Boswell are the MVPs of this team. I
really don't, and I don't really know how much. I mean, I think Danny has some pull there, but I don't. Here's the other thing: like, if you lose if you've already lost Calvin Austin for a year, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put him back there and you lose him again, I don't know. Gunnar is here. Okay, so So you got Calvin Austin, who's probably your most precious return
Look at
person.
Freak's point there, right?
You don't want to risk. 50% is ridiculous. And then you got Gunnar Olszewski, okay? And then you just cut a guy who had return potential, Desmond King.
Did you see him to return the ball? He was not good.
No, who? No. Desmond King?
Desmond King.
No. I'm okay. I'm not saying Desmond King's better than anybody. My point is like you don't have a lot of options at return, and you don't want to risk your best returner in Calvin Austin to an injury. So like, what other options are there? And here's what I say. Take advantage of this. Take advantage of the new bullshit fair catch rule and just do that every time. But although you got McFarland probably coming back this week, which is fine.
Yeah,
but but still, like, I don't know. Sorry.
I think the reason that Desmond King got cut was McFarland is coming back, and it made him expendable. He only got one snap on defense.
And it wasn't a good snap.
Field. No, it was not a good snap. He couldn't get on the field. The Steelers didn't. The coaches didn't like what they saw.
But I was told that he was going to be amazing, just like every other Omar Khan signing this offseason.
Well,
it's like people forgot. People forgot that Kevin Colbert's probably going to be in Canton one day because this new shiny little toy, Omar Khan, who's been there forever and has never been coveted by any other team. Sounds familiar, like the Steelers coaching staff.
He interviewed Houston.
He's interviewed for a lot of positions.
Okay.
You didn't get him, but he interviewed. Point. Mm-hmm. I agree with your point. Kevin was there for a long time.
Yeah.
They did very well when Kevin was there. People get excited about things and they use a lot of hyperbole to describe it rather than trying to take a look at who the player is and what he's got going on. Where he actually is at this stage in his career. Patrick Peterson, for example, Allen Robinson, for another example, countless others.
At least Allen Robinson doesn't talk shit. Like, he's very quiet.
Right.
He seems like a very likable person.
Right.
But you got Patrick Peterson running his goddamn mouth every fucking week.
Talking before the game, and then when he plays badly. When he plays bad, he says, "Yeah, but I could have had a couple of picks." But you fucking didn't.
Yeah,
you
could have had it.
Yeah, I could have won the lottery last week, but I didn't.
I could have won the lottery too if I had the right numbers. So I don't know what the fuck you guys.
Amazing how that works. Ian, Darius Rush comes in, and again, he fits this perfect mold of what the Steelers like in their cornerbacks right now. But why should we have any sort of optimism that he's suddenly
project
good? Yeah, I mean, what thoughts?
Well, he's a project, but Corey Trice was going to be a project also. He wasn't going to be a finished product. Joey Porter Jr. is a project.
Yeah.
Much more talented project.
Yes.
Yeah.
That said, Rush has some of those things you can't teach, which is long arms and some pretty good speed. You can't teach those things. You can hone them, which is, I mean, the league is full of guys who didn't have great measurables, but had it between the ears. And if you figured something out and they were teachable and could learn, turned out pretty darn good. Like Richard Sherman was a 5th round pick. What's his name? The kid from Coastal Carolina that went to the Redskins. Josh Norman was a 4th or 5th round pick. They wound up being, I mean, both of them were Pro Bowl. I think Norman was an All-Pro. I know Sherman was an All-Pro corner. So you don't have to be, a 1st round pick to be able to be teachable. Obviously, they did their due diligence during the draft process and they saw something there they liked. And at the end of the day, as probably the 53rd player on the roster, if all he does this year is play special teams and does kind of what Corey Trice was going to do, which was probably play special teams and hopefully never see a snap on defense, and they can teach him up a little bit, it's not the worst thing in the world. And now all of a sudden you've got 2 older corners who aren't real good and 3 young corners who have upside and potential. It's not going to fix anything this year, but looking forward into the future, maybe it gives you something to build upon in the secondary.
I mean, let's be honest. Levi Wallace was never that good to begin with. He was just a guy who was steady and he was inexpensive.
Yep.
He was inexpensive. He was just a guy who was steady. And this year, he's been not as good as he was last year. It sucks because Witherspoon's having a nice year.
Yep.
And that's the guy they chose to let leave because he couldn't stay healthy. I get the decision. I understand it, but it
makes
sucks.
sense.
It sucks from that standpoint. And then, no, I agree with Ian in terms of you got a few young guys like Corey Trice is done. He's on IR, and
right.
We'll see what he can do next year. And Darius
Rush.
Darius Rush.
Rush.
The thing that bugs me a little bit about this guy is he's got good measurables except for his broad and his vertical when he came out, which means he lacks explosiveness.
Explosion.
He's got long arms. He's got good speed, size, all that shit. But his vertical and his broad jump are not great.
So he was drafted by the Colts and got released.
Drafted by the Colts, was
Chiefs
released. Couldn't make the team when he was drafted.
Right.
I want to.
Got bumped out and then moved over to the Chiefs in their practice squad as a developmental player. The Steelers, if they wanted to poach him, had to sign him to the 53-man roster, which they've done. We'll see what happens. Again, when a corner lacks explosiveness, he's not going to have makeup speed. He's not going to be able to close on the ball in the NFL, and you need to be able to do that. People aren't going to throw those lollipops like they do in college like this. They're going to throw things. Well, okay, most of them. Your bottom 10 quarterbacks throw it like this. All of our quarterbacks fit that description. Sorry, they just do. But guys like Ben Roethlisberger throw it straight on a fucking rope. The corner doesn't really have time to make up a gap because they can throw the ball so hard.
Let me move over, and I don't know why this is a thing this week, but why is Tomlin, Scarps, I'll let you take this one. Why is Tomlin playing this game as if Broderick Jones and Dan Moore are starting quarterbacks? I mean, it's like, well, we'll let practice be the guide, as his usual take. And it looks like Moore's getting more reps at the spot with the first team based on what, the beats are saying and based on some other things we've seen. But what's the deal with that? Why the secrecy?
And this is just my opinion, but unless something happens with Dan Moore, injury wise, he's going to start on Sunday. And I know I said this way early on.
Fuck you, Scarpino.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I said
probably
this,
right, but I
said
don't
this
like
early,
it.
I said this early on that I wouldn't be surprised if Brodrick Jones didn't start the season, which is correct. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start for a while. My thing about it is that you moved up, you exchanged draft capital to draft this guy, and it's a small sample size, but it's enough for me to say, okay, if we're really going to win games in this league, it's going to be a rock fight. It's going to be 20-17 or 23-20.
Yep.
And the guy that gives me the best run blocking is Broderick Jones. Now, is Dan Moore a better player than Broderick Jones right now?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Overall career, is he better? Yes.
Is he more accomplished? Sure. Is he more talented?
Yes.
Fuck
yes.
no.
But and I'm not I want to give credit to Mark Cabali, who's a friend of mine and a great reporter. He said this too. Is this the right time for Broderick Jones? And I agree. I think that it's the right time for Broderick Jones. But you know what? There's something going on there, whether it's pride or whatever, that Dan Moore is going to get the nod this weekend. And you know what? We'll talk about this later, but Dan Moore is not going to have a lot of leash. And I mean that. I think that Dan Moore is on a short leash. and I wouldn't be surprised if Brodrick Jones started next week.
So Ian, if that's
it won't
accurate,
shock me if there's some kind of an injury in game and he gets yanked in favor of Broderick Jones this week.
Right. So Ian, I'm going to ask you this: why even bother with if you're going to put him on a short leash? Then why bother with him? It reminds me of the famous Bobby Knight. What they used to call that when he had oh shit, I can't think of the term. Fuck, like zero tolerance. Well, what does that mean?
My favorite Bobby Knight memory was when he said chicken shit live on College Game Day, but nevertheless,
that was fantastic.
Amongst many.
Yes. At any rate, I don't know. They're like I said, because they're idiots. Like I don't know what this obsession with like keeping Dan Moore in the lineup is, that you drafted a guy in the first round and you're not going to play him after he came out against the Baltimore fucking Ravens and had a pretty damn good game. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but for a rookie in his first start against that team and that defense in that atmosphere, like I even like Kenny Pickett said last year, he was like, those Steelers Ravens games are like the hardest hitting games I've ever been a part of. And he was the quarterback. Like,
yeah,
those games are just different. And yeah, for him to come out and play that well in that game was extremely encouraging. And there's no reason he shouldn't start.
And to Freak's question there, I've never heard Tomlin say anything about that. I mean, we've heard coaches for decades say
it could be that Pat Meyer is that kind of an old school coach, though.
It very well could be, Ben.
And people. Ian says this. I'm sorry, Ian. I'm going to throw you under the bus now.
This
is weird. This is weird. I'm throwing Ian under the bus, and I'm agreeing with Scarpino tonight. Fucking weird. Anyway, people will say that the reason that they're starting Dan Moore, they're staying with him, is that it's a complicated blocking scheme because this offense is so complicated. It's not a fucking complicated offense. It's not. What it is, what this offense,
Oscar Mayer, it's complicated.
What this offense is inflexible. It does not adapt to the situation. Okay, the blocking scheme doesn't adapt to the situation to the front. It doesn't. The play does not adapt to the situation. The quarterback cannot. He doesn't have much freedom to install any checks. That fucking one time we saw a check that was installed by Canada, it goes for a touchdown because they had zero coverage. Yes. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, Matt Canada gets one right. He does.
No, that was all Pickett.
Yeah, whatever. Canada installed that in the middle of the week. We all know this. All right. That happened. I do think I have a theory that Kenny threw the ball in the wrong spot and Canada wasn't pleased by that, but whatever. It's just a theory.
Yeah.
Point being, this is not a complicated offense. That really is the overview I was trying to describe here. Mm-hmm. It's not complicated at all. What it is inflexible. Inflexible completely. And I mean that down to the blocking scheme. I mean that the guy in pass pro in the backfield, the running back, can't decide which guy he's going to block. He has a gap, and this is his gap, and that's it. So if there's a guy rushing out here, but this is his gap, he has to take this gap. He might block no one, but this is his gap. It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Fuck yeah, man. Let me know how you really feel. I like it.
Matt
Keep
Canada
it going.
sucks donkey balls. That's how I feel. Drink, Johnny.
So why, therefore, is Matt Canada still there? Is it simply because they don't want to pay him? Because they had their chance.
Look, at the end of the day,
they're paying him regardless.
At the end of the day, yeah, they're paying him regardless. They're gonna. That ship sailed. I mean, he signed the contract for 3 years. He's getting his money. It is what it is. The thing is, they do not fire coordinators midseason. They just don't do it. And all these rumors that they may make a change, that's such bullshit. It's wishful fucking thinking. You know what that is? That's minority fucking owners speaking to somebody in the fucking press. Yeah, they might make a change. I talked to Art, and they might. No, they're not. They're not going to. They're not going to do a goddamn thing.
Yeah, your point about the minority ownership is very accurate. Just because they are saying one thing, it doesn't mean anything's going to happen.
Doesn't mean shit.
There's a reason.
Well,
minority owner.
I can just see we're considering all our options. Yeah, no, they're not. They're not considering goddamn thing. They're not going to make a change here in the middle of the season. They're not.
So last year, we talked about this a little bit last week, but last year at the bye, they did a lot of self-scouting.
There's a better chance that Ian would wear a condom than they would fire the offensive coordinator.
I'm fucking crying.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Well played. Well played.
And then this asshole comes in. I knew Mr. Buckeye would show up eventually. That's good. Freak. That's good. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what the hell I was going to say.
I don't know either. That was so good.
What about
are we doing a podcast?
How does Deontay affect this?
That was really good, Freak. That was
amazing. That was outstanding.
Well
that was very well done. Ian, how does Deontay affect this? Because I unfortunately I can see a scenario where Pickett targets him way too much, and then George Pickens doesn't see the ball enough.
Yeah, Pickens will get like 3 or 4 targets. Yeah. No, it's gonna be, they're gonna do the same stupid ass thing they did last year and even the beginning of this year, where they try and run Deontay on these comeback routes and stuff and throw him the ball short of the sticks when he's not moving.
No yak,
hitch and go.
No yak,
comebacks and hitches.
Yep, nothing where crossing routes, no slant.
Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see Deontay running a slant and Pickens crossing behind him on a slant. That would be wonderful. Probably won't happen, but it would be wonderful.
Yeah. You know what else would be nice would be if our quarterback could actually throw a slant route.
That would be
put
nice.
the ball in front of his receiver.
Get the ball in front
and not put it like at his back hip.
Right?
Yeah.
Hater.
True. Call the Sunshine Crew on your asses.
Yeah. But
Sunshine Crew cops.
This show is not for the faint of heart.
No.
At any rate,
one way of putting it.
I would love to see Deontay come out and get a touchdown.
Oh, I would too. It'd be fantastic.
Kind of get that monkey off his back. But they run stupid shit, and then and then when they do run a good play, or there's a ball that maybe it's not a perfectly thrown ball, but a receiver making $15 million a year probably should catch. He drops it or clangs off his hands. And the worst thing, the thing that annoys me about Deontay to no end, not just the drops, but when he doesn't catch the ball, it's not like the ball just drops down. It bounces up in the air.
The worst possible outcome.
And then it's a free-for-all of defensive backs around him.
That's a good point. It is funny how that happens to him all the time. Yeah.
Well, because honestly, when the ball, I don't want to say always, that's an exaggeration, but there are a lot of times when Deontay is throwing the ball, it's placed pretty well. Like right here, that's really well placed.
Yeah.
That's and if you drop that, it is going to go over your head, and it is going to be a free-for-all, and people are going to be diving for that ball. So yeah, I agree with Ian. It's problematic.
Yeah, another good point by Freak here. The no running touchdowns this year.
This fucking offense has 5 touchdowns. They have 5 touchdowns in 5 games.
They're averaging 12 points a game right now.
I tweeted this earlier. Art the Second has talked every offseason for the last fucking 30,000 years about how we need to get back to the running game. We need to do this and that. And yet they haven't finished in the top 15 in rushing offense since 2016, which is oddly enough the last time they won a playoff game. And
that's a long time, Ryan. That's a long time.
Yeah, well, we need to get back to the running game. There's no doubt about it. So then last year they finished 16th.
In 2016, they threw a lot of short, 1-2 yard passes to Le'Veon, which basically were long handoffs anyway.
Yes,
but they don't count. They don't count as rushing. They count as passes.
Right.
But,
I get it.
Right.
But my point is, it was a running back a running back making a huge fucking play with basically a running blocking scheme that worked in 2016. We can't do that shit anymore.
That's fine, but if those still count as passes, that doesn't impact the rushing offense.
But it's okay. I get it.
Fuck.
I get it. But it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing then. We don't do that anymore.
Well, you know what, Ben?
I'm agreeing with you.
No longer agreeing. No,
fuck off.
But then last year they went to number 16, and then this year they've regressed. And I'm like, holy shit. So how much of this BS are we going to keep hearing? Oh, we need to invest in the running game. We do this. The revamped line stinks. Naj stinks. The only spark they have in the running game is Jaylen Warren, and I don't know if he's good enough to be the bell cow, right? But I'm going to say that he's not. But you know what?
Remember, we were thinking 24, 25 pints a game.
Let's go back to let's go back to Naj and
Good
Naj
times.
and let's go back to Naj. And you know what? If you're going to invest a first round pick in a running back that has here's your guy.
Now here's a guy.
If you're going to invest in a first round running back that has zero burst nor explosiveness, you should probably build up your line with the appropriate people and coaching staff to get them to where they need to be.
Hey, let's talk real quick about Vinny's point here at 7:47. Mark, if you scroll back in the chat there.
7:47. What weird ass time zone are you in?
It's 10:47 to you fucks.
I believe that comment right there.
That comment right there. So
yes.
All right, Joe. For the listening audience, Vinny says it's so weird to me. Kenny sucks overall, but is clutch at the same time.
And why is Kenny clutch? Because Kenny pulls shit out of his ass in closing drives repeatedly. The guy has 17 starts. He has 4 fourth quarter comebacks. He has 5 game-winning drives in his career already in 17 starts. That's ridiculous.
Is that a product of him? Is that a product of Matt Canada? Is
okay?
It both?
The chatter on Pickett coming out was that he might not be physically talented enough to be an NFL quarterback, but that his intangibles were off the charts, that he was going to be a good leader, but that in crunch moments he wasn't going to flinch, that he was that guy, that he was a winner, but that he just wasn't that talented. He just wasn't going to be like a top guy, wasn't Josh Allen talented, but between the ears, he had it. He had it.
The other point that both Freak and Vinny were talking about, the 24 points. So I did a little research. When we were on the
I thought you were going to say math, and I was like, Mark, you're doing
Whoa.
He's
That's
mathing.
a word. I do not do maths. No. Well, actually, I did a little maths, but in any case. So when we hit the bye last year, we were averaging about 15 points a game. In those 8 games after, we averaged just under 21. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now,
we finished at 18 last year.
So right now we're averaging about 12 and a half. So even if you add that 5 from the bye, we would still only be averaging about 17, 18 points a game. That ain't going to cut it. I mean, we need a major jump in points.
Top offenses in the league average 28.
Yes.
Okay, 27, 28 points. The Steelers are averaging 12. All right? So unless our defense bails us out consistently every week, please,
that's not something we can expect.
It isn't. What the fuck are you talking about? Our defense is good for 14 points and returns every single week.
My bad. You're correct. Yes.
Thank you.
I forgot about blocked punts as well.
I was talking to the Sunshine Crew today, and they told me that. So
well, that makes perfect sense.
It's fine. It's all good. And 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Every week too.
Yeah. Speaking of sacks, Ian, do you think right now TJ Watt breaks the sack record?
Depends on how bad his heel injury is.
It's week 7.
Well, he's what is he, 8 sacks?
It's week 7.
Yeah.
Get back to me like week 14.
In. I mean,
What?
if he keeps up this current pace, he's got a shot at
blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
I get like 27 at this rate.
Right.
But I mean, it's week 7.
Yeah. Well, it's also
just
the end of the bye week, so these types of questions come up.
No.
Hey, listen,
it's way
I'm
too
the
early.
one running this show, buddy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Shitty
so once
question.
in a while, I am forgiven if I ask a bad question.
I need a beer.
Scarpino go
he probably went to pee.
It's, I mean, he's got a shot at it, but I don't know.
Well,
injuries are the big thing, right?
Of course.
Injuries are the great equalizer. He went from tying the sack record, which he should have broken, to like not even getting double-digit sacks, which like he's already surpassed his sack total from last year because he was injured last year, right?
Right.
And we'll see how bad his heel injury is. Which
let's not forget his hand too, because it's got some messed up fingers now too.
Yeah, from flipping the giant bird to PFF, being like, "What are you guys thinking out here?" Right? That's really how he injured his finger.
Pass rate.
Yeah, pass rush win rate. What a bullshit stat that is.
That's not a stat. It's such fucking bullshit. I agree with you. Jesus Christ.
Aaron makes the point that I was trying to make, is that there might not be much to look forward to if this offense doesn't get it going, and therefore all we might have is TJ sack watch. That came out right.
Well, that's fine, but I mean, basically, pass rush win rate. Pass rush win rate for a guy like Myles Garrett. That's what I know what we're talking about right now. Basically, is the equivalent of a corner who's in position all the time to make plays but misses tackles. Who the fuck cares about that guy? Okay. Great, he's always in position. He's always there. He's always where he needs to be.
But here's the thing.
But he can't make a tackle.
Fuck PFF. I don't give a shit about them. I'm not going to act like Myles Garrett isn't a really good football player and he's a top 5 defender in this game. Like,
goddamn right.
Like, let's be real. And this whole, like, I want to be this whole Myles versus TJ debate, neither one of these players ever said they were better than one another. This is some bullshit narrative
media-driven
that the media, the PFF and the fans, the PFF developed,
Steelers and then Twitter-driven
fans, and then the fans just fucking rolled with it. Because I'm going to tell you this right now: if you're asking me what edge I want out of anybody in the league, I'm going to take TJ. If you're asking me which D end I want out of anybody in the league, I'm going to take Myles. And if you're asking me which athlete linebacker I'm taking Micah Parsons.
Right.
So like all these guys are individually great.
I'm going with Fred Warner. But okay.
Stay on your point, Scarp. Stay on your point.
That's fair. I'd probably cut off 3 toes for Fred Warner in this fucking defense. But
at least one, right?
Oh God.
Yes. And so I don't know if you caught that or not, but anyway, the point. Okay, getting back to TJ, and I mean this with the most utmost respect for TJ Watt. I don't give a shit how many sacks the guy has, as long as we win a fucking Super Bowl. And
goddamn right.
And
TJ would say the same.
Which one of those things is more likely to happen, though?
Okay,
right now.
So earlier this week, I saw on Steelers Sunshine Twitter. I saw. Did he get a knee down? Did Mike Tom? Oh my God! It's a touchdown by Michael Thomas. What a goddamn catch! Anyway, he's back. Anyway, Ohio State guy, right?
Oh, here we go.
For Aaron, are you still listening?
Fired up. Oh, he's
But anyway, so getting back to TJ Watt. Earlier this week, Steelers Sunshine Twitter showed an empty trophy case for Myles Garrett.
Right.
And they were talking smack, and I was like, what's TJ Watt's trophy case look like? Okay, 1 defensive player of the year.
Got
what
some
else?
Pro Bowls.
Oh, okay, some Pro Bowls. Who gives a shit? Myles Garrett's actually been closer to a Super Bowl than TJ Watt has.
Yep.
So what are we really doing here? Like what are we really doing here?
See,
so
you're talking facts.
I would rather
facts
I'm not going to deny that TJ is one of the best defensive players, but I'd rather have TJ healthy for a full year and get 14 sacks than him to have 25 and us have a non-losing season and don't make the playoffs, or make the playoffs and get fucking motorboated.
Yeah. I want to get motorboated.
Hey, so if we're not watching sacks, we're just doing some motorboating. You
Yeah.
gotta love it on this show.
Sorry,
Counterpoint to scarves. And this is Ryan, I love you, but
talk
I'm
to me,
gonna
babe.
partially disagree with you that yes, some of the Miles versus TJ stuff has been completely media driven, Twitter driven, all that. But also, let's not forget that the Browns went 1-31 and drafted the second best pass rusher in his draft class when the first best pass rusher went 30th to their arch rivals, and then went another almost winless season and drafted Baker Mayfield, who is now playing in Tampa Bay, who I would take over Kenny Pickett any day, but I'm
probably
not
should still be
So
their
no.
quarterback.
So Ian, to your point,
honestly, I'd take Baker over fucking Deshaun Watson.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
they dude, and I want to
shit the bed there.
If any Browns fans are listening, they fucking hosed Baker Mayfield. That dude had
Big
more
time.
heart and stones and guts than anybody on a fucking team. Anyway, but no, Ian, getting back to your point, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just am saying that, like, how many other people also passed on TJ Watt? Like, the Steelers really hit
The
that,
Cowboys.
The
The
Cowboys.
Cowboys. The
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Taco
took Taco
Tuesday
Charlton
Charlton.
one pick in front of him. Remember that shit?
Yep.
And I sit there and think like, shit, what is if the Cowboys had TJ Watt and Micah Parsons right now?
Oh my God! Right? Whoa.
Yeah.
No, and they
They might actually win a playoff game.
They wouldn't have been in a position to draft Micah Parsons if they had TJ.
That's true. That is true. Let's turn our attention to the Los Angeles Rams.
You're right, Ryan. I
Stafford-
concur with your point. There were other people that passed
No,
on TJ.
no. You're
I'm
not
just saying
wrong though.
The fact
I'm just
they were in
saying
the
that,
same
like,
draft
not
class
wrong.
gets them compared all
Per
the time.
se.
dude,
Uh,
fucking Trevor Lawrence has about 80 rushing yards tonight. Okay, and he's on a bad knee. I was told Kenny Pickett had escapability and mobility.
here we
And the
go.
fucking dude can't. The dude. Gary, we'll talk about this in Casey. I'm just saying.
You know, it's not so much that Scarpino hates Kenny Pickett. He doesn't. What he hates is Kenny Pickett fans. Just so we're clear.
The
he
fans
also
that can't be
sucks,
objective.
too, but so be it.
The fans that can't look at a bad performance and call it a bad performance.
Bad performance.
Yeah, I mean,
Call it a bad performance.
okay, so the Rams 4:05 on Sunday from Los Angeles.
105. If you, if
well,
you live
for
on the
some
good
people,
side of the country.
Stafford's playing pretty well right now. Cooper Kupp's back, looks fantastic.
Well,
he's got a rookie receiver
good?
that's playing pretty darn well. Offensive line seems to be doing okay. Now they are down a couple of running backs. I think that's going to have an impact.
Kevin Dotson is a starting guard there.
Kevin Dotson. What is it with former Steelers guards playing well when they go elsewhere?
Well, Kevin Dotson always was a good run blocker.
He was.
And they run a really heavy gap blocking scheme there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. There aren't a lot of stunts and pulls and traps. So if you're just gap blocking, that's Kevin's thing.
So couple of nuggets here. The Steelers are 4-0 under Mike Tomlin against the Rams. And I believe he's 12-4 coming off the bye, Mike Tomlin. So there's some good things there, but then of course you've got the classic "we're on the West Coast."
Yeah, let's talk about that time zone thing. Ian.
Yeah. They are not good when they have to change their watches.
No, and this is a big change in the watch. This is a 3-hour time switch.
Although here's the weird thing that I will say about the 3-hour time switch. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger didn't win a game as a starter in the Pacific time zone.
I know.
But during Ben Roethlisberger's tenure, Mike Vick won a game in San Diego.
Yep.
Duck Hodges won a game in San Diego. And Kenny Pickett.
Duck Hodges won a game in L.A. in that soccer stadium.
Oh, yeah, that's right. In LA,
yeah,
right.
it was LA.
Not against San Diego. It was against the Chargers, though, but it was in LA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And Kenny Pickett has won a game in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So
Maybe it was a quarterback. Are you hoping? And Tomlin did talk about the fact that they've changed their travel schedule to the West Coast now because they're trying to do something to adapt because they haven't had success previously, and let's hope that's helping. I don't know. We got our hands full this week, though, man. Between Cooper Kupp, who Scarps won't shut the fuck up about, and Aaron Donald, who's fucking amazing. Aaron Donald's definitely a top 1 or 2 defensive player in this league. And, we got Mason Cole trying to block him. I'm a little dubious. I'm a little concerned. Fuck you, Johnny. Drink.
There we go. I was waiting for the fuck you, Johnny, for tonight. Look, we saw little glimpses of it against the Ravens, but is it possible we see Pickett on a little more design rolls and half rolls and stuff simply to avoid Aaron Donald? You would hope.
You would hope. Yeah.
Right.
Bro, Mason Cole was about to get eaten alive, and
well, they've got to be working on double teams. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
That dude is so good at splitting them.
He can't handle.
That dude is so good at splitting double teams. It is ridiculous.
No, I know, but they gotta come up with something to minimize.
Yeah,
minimize.
Yeah,
minimalize. It's the mathing thing.
Same thing.
Same.
Limit. There we go.
Have some more whiskey, Mark.
Yeah.
That reminds me. I think I'm going to have some too. I've got some Redemption High Rye bourbon.
Yeah, see, mine's the brown. I just have the regular rye.
It's quite
that
delicious.
is also quite good.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah.
The Redemption Rye is outstanding. That might be my favorite one.
It's right up there for me. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's nowhere near Bradshaw bourbon. But,
well, no.
Nothing is.
But,
that's liquid gold.
Okay, the Bradshaw bourbon is very tasty, and there are lots of tasty bourbons, but that's a really tasty one, right?
Yeah.
Especially with one little ice cube in it, just a little one.
Oh, just a little one.
You guys and your rocks.
Scarps, what's happening in that game? You're very focused on what's happening there in Jacksonville.
Derek Carr just took a shot to the jejunum.
To the jejunum?
He took a shot to the nuts.
Ouch! Helmet.
He got heavily ball tapped, and for those out there listening that know what that feels like, it sucks. But
I bet he doesn't wear a cup either.
Not Cooper Kupp. Speaking of Cooper Kupp,
what a segue.
Here's a guy that can make a transition. Speaking of Cooper Kupp, I know the Rams are down some running backs, but they have a guy. They have a young rookie, Zach Evans. They have Royce Freeman, who's a veteran, and then they have a guy that's familiar with them, Darrell Henderson Jr. So I'm not concerned about the running backs as much as I'm concerned about the wide receivers.
And I'm with you.
We got Cooper Kupp, who
I'm
not gonna
2 weeks out, right?
Sack. Shut up, Johnny.
I'm not gonna say that they were as good, but Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford have that same synergy as Ben and AB. It's that good. And then you have Puka Doncic, for our NBA fans out there, Puka Nacua. And the Rams also have Tyler Higbee. They have Tutu Atwell. Their line might not be that great, but this is not a good matchup for the Steelers in a variety of ways. You have the West Coast, you have the time difference, you have a veteran quarterback that has weapons, and imagine that. Another guy that has a connection to the Shanahan coaching tree. I'm sure this is going to go over well this week, because for those of you out there that don't know, you had Kyle Shanahan in week 1 who beat the brakes off of us. You had Bobby Hill. No, not Hank Hill's son from King of the Hill. You had Bobby Slowick.
Dang it, Bobby.
God damn it, Bobby.
God damn it, Bobby.
You had Bobby Slowick for the Texans, who is of the Shanahan coaching tree, and he's the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. But Sean McVay is of the Mike Shanahan coaching tree. I'm sure that Sean McVay is shaking in his boots right now and just has no idea what he's going to do on Sunday. This is a terrible matchup for the Steelers, and I don't give a shit how many terrible towels are in SoFi Stadium.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of them, baby. Well, and on that note, Scarps.
Oh, forgot to mention that Aaron Donald is going to remind everyone on Sunday why he's still the best defensive player in the game. And as long as he is suiting up, he will be the best defensive player in the game.
Well, Scarps, since you're
why do you have to do that, Scarps? Why are you the way you are?
What is your prediction for Sunday then, Scarpino?
Asshole.
Now, here's my prediction.
Oh, boy.
This is a game.
Here's
a guy that predicts something different. The Steelers should not win this game, but they might. But they might. That being said,
they shouldn't have beaten the Rats, and they did too.
Yes. That being said, I'm going to go off of not history, not whether that's the Steelers' record against the Rams or just in general how Mike Tomlin performs in these games he shouldn't win. The Rams win this game 27-17. And it is really not that close. It's 27-10, and then Kenny Pickett gets a late touchdown. And his stands are like, oh, see this guy? This guy got it. Casey will touch on that a little bit. 27-17 Rams.
Okay. All right, very good. Ian, what do you got for a prediction coming up on Sunday afternoon?
Well, the Rams can't run the ball. But the good news is that our cornerbacks also suck against wide receivers, and they got a former MVP wide receiver back in Cooper Kupp.
Yep. They got Puka, whatever the fuck his name is.
Puka who's been really good. And then, that other guy, Tutu Atwell, is pretty darn good too out of the slot.
Yeah, that's the one I'm worried about the most, to be honest with you.
Because we cover slots.
Because we can't cover anything in the middle of the field.
Well, guess what? Gerald Everett's also a pretty decent tight end too.
He is.
Like,
him and Higbee.
Yeah.
Higbee.
Yeah, Higbee's the guy.
Everett's at the Chargers.
Higbee,
sorry, Everett's not there. Everett's with the Chargers.
I wanted Higbee when he fucking came out.
Other Los Angeles team. My bad. Sorry, Higbee. But Higbee's good also. So this is going to be a challenge for us to defend. However, I don't know if you guys know this, but Matt Stafford threw his first and second half touchdown passes of the year last week. Before last week's game, he had not thrown a touchdown pass in the second half of a game.
That's because he's got the mobility of your average statue.
Yeah.
Here in Ohio sucks.
And
Go Broncos.
This is that weird kind of game where, Sean McVay came into the league as like the boy genius that was so smart about everything and was, the chosen one to do all this great stuff. And he's won a Super Bowl, and that was, good for him.
Perhaps he should have lied about his tack, where he was like, I tried to rush him up to the line as fast as I can so I can tell them what the defense is doing so he can change the play at the line.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have shut the fuck up and kept that to himself.
Yeah.
So the defenses wouldn't just stand around and be like, they cut the radio off. Okay, now we're gonna set.
Yeah. That said, let's not forget that Mike Tomlin beat Sean McVay with Mason Rudolph at quarterback in a game where Sean McVay brought in a backup Blake Bortles at quarterback to run a 4th and 1 outside sweep play
on the road.
On the road, yes,
that's right.
And they also ran a fake punt in that game that we were ready for. This feels like one of those weird games where the Steelers somehow edge it out 17-15 or something absolutely stupid like that. So I'm gonna just say that's my prediction, that this feels like a game that there's no way the Steelers should win, and Ryan will probably be right in his prediction, even though he has picked against the Steelers every game, I'm pretty sure.
Not true. I picked the Steelers to beat the Texans, and look what happened against a Bobby Hill led offense.
That's true.
Bobby Hill led offense.
This
Score
feels,
a touchdown, Bobby.
This feels like one of those games where everything is stacked against us. The other thing I have to say, not only are we on the West Coast, but coming out of a bye, we usually start really slow and are not real good. So, yeah,
okay.
but I'm still gonna say we pull it out in some weird ass way.
Just make a fucking choice.
I said Steelers 17.
He said Steelers 17-15. Ben, what do you got?
I think the deck is stacked too high against the Steelers this week.
Ooh.
Yeah. We're going out to the West Coast.
All right.
We got Puka, what's his fuck?
Doncic.
We got Cooper Kupp. We got Aaron Donald. We got corners that can't cover on our team.
It's always a problem.
We got a guy who
Here's a guy
who can't run in the backfield, but when he does get the ball off, he is hyper accurate. So, like, if you have a 30% pass rush win rate, not a stat, but if you have a 30% pass rush win rate, you are a fucking stud defensive player. You're a stud pass rusher. 30%. So 70% of the time, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be able to have any opportunity even to pressure the quarterback. That being the case, I don't see him getting pressured enough for it to matter. And I think the Rams win this one. You know, it'll be a rock fight, like Scarps likes to describe them, but it'll be let's go Rams 21, Steelers 17.
Ooh, okay. All right. And
maybe 16.
I guess that leaves me, huh?
Yeah, 21-16. Let's say that.
All right.
Write that down, Scarps, so I know you're keeping track.
Now we're doing
part of me wants to go with a very
fuck you, Johnny. Drink.
A very familiar score in this this matchup, 31-19.
Ooh.
But I can't quite credit us with scoring that many points, unless of course the defense gets a few. I'm gonna go Steelers 17, Rams 24. 24-17.
Fucked me up.
Yeah.
So
Rams. I know. I mess with you. Sorry.
God damn it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I don't. We can't
Hater.
cover. And on that turf indoors, I don't.
Hater.
Yeah.
It favors the faster team.
It does, and I can't get past that. Is Casey Kasem ready?
Always.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
We're only 72 minutes in. This is amazing.
Well, it is off the bye week, so that's correct, George. Very good. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, live from the graves of Los Angeles, it's Mr. Casey Kasem.
Ah, shit. I'm crying. Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top 30. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was October 19th, 1969.
Ooh.
Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is once again back with us, and he writes, Dear Casey, I got my first real six-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played until my fingers bled, was the summer of 69. Casey, that's of course Bryan Adams, off his 1984 album, Reckless. I used to love that song until I found out that Bryan Adams made it all up. He was only 9 years old in 1969, so there's no way he could have done any of that cool stuff. Bryan Adams is full of shit.
That John Denver's full of shit, too.
Speaking of full of shit, well, there's plenty of that on the Steelers, but tonight I'm going to focus solely on Kenny Pickett stans who are desperately making excuses to try to build up their fake hero.
There it is. I knew it was
Casey,
coming.
I'm not sure if you know this, but Kenny Pickett is the Steelers' first-round pick of the 2022 NFL Draft. He played football at the University of Pittsburgh. He peaked as a freshman, played about 10 years of average football, and then as a 20th year senior, he led the Panthers to an ACC title. Granted, it was against the weakest ACC in history. But Casey, who's counting? Actually, I am. And the numbers for Pickett are not good. Where should I begin? Let's start with 33.5, which is Pickett's QBR, not to be confused with BBQ. That's 32nd in this league. Only Bryce Young is worse, and Young plays on arguably the worst team in the league. Moving on to 59.7, which is Pickett's completion percentage. He's one of only 4 quarterbacks to be under 60% for the season. Pickett stands will say it's only 5 games. Well, actually, he's made 17 starts now in this league, which is a full season. Ian and I remember that 16 games used to be a full season, and Ben and Steel Dad remember the leather helmet era.
Fuck you guys.
That means that every time Pickett throws the ball, he has to throw it nearly 50 times before he throws one for a touchdown. To put that in perspective, here are some dudes that have never reached 500 career pass attempts, but have more passing TDs than Kenny Pickett.
Oh, God.
Terry Hanratty. Remember him? Steelers, Notre Dame quarterback. Threw 24 touchdowns in 431 attempts.
Oh, shit.
And that's when they didn't even throw the ball. Matt Flynn and Tim Tebow threw 17 touchdowns in 357 and 361 attempts, respectively. There's even a current Steelers quarterback that's thrown 16 passing touchdowns in 384 attempts. But hey, Mason sucks, right?
He does suck. Donkey balls.
Pickett stands, I don't know what you're thinking. Non-Pickett stands have suspicious minds. Well, Ryan, here's the king, up 1 spot this week to number 5. Here's Elvis Presley with Suspicious Minds.
Wow, that one came full circle.
Correspondent Ryan going with some math.
That was a really good one. Listen, I want to encourage all of you Kenny Pickett fans to send your hate mail to Steel Dad.
Yeah, please do. Because I don't get any.
Because if you send it to Ryan, he'll just laugh because he's an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm at these days now. Yeah. Anyway, enjoy the game on Sunday, everybody. It's a 4:00, so it's different. I really like the 1 o'clocks.
Scar still has a candle lit for Rudy.
It's not bad. It's just like, it's not even
that candle ain't going out, baby.
That was fantastic.
Anyway, enjoy the game on Sunday. Thanks as always for being here, everybody. Thanks to everybody who listens and watches on their own. We really, really appreciate it. Make sure you check out the website, steelcityblitz.com. Ian has all the latest Whippeal news. They got to be getting close to the playoffs here, aren't they, Ian?
2 weeks away.
2 weeks away. Okay. And check out that. But check us out on the socials. Hey, we're even on TikTok now. We are one of those trendy kids. That's right. Trendy kids. But you won't see any dances. That's for
Steel
damn sure.
daughter runs Steel Dad's TikTok.
She does not. She does not even know I have one, jackass.
She does.
Nope.
She does.
Nope.
He's
nope.
lying.
Nope.
He's lying.
She doesn't. She doesn't.
He's lying his ass off.
And that's right, George. Make sure you like everything as well. All right, guys, we're getting out of here.
Like and share and stuff.
Thanks so much. Good night, everybody. This has been the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. Hey, Sunshine Crew, feel free to send your hate mail to Steel Dad.
Ah, what a shame we ended the streak.